Hi, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. So today I'll be talking about what's in my flute case. Now I realized that I have done a video going through what's in my flute case before, but things have sort of changed since then. I believe it was 2 years ago since I uploaded that video, and my setup's just slightly different at the moment with how I'm carrying things, so I thought I would give an updated version of what I now carry and use on a daily basis with my gear. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Okay, so the first thing that's in my flute case is my actual flute. So that's what it looks like. I'm currently using a Wiseman London flute case. This case is really great. If you have watched my other What's My Flute Case video, you would know that I was previously using a BAM Soft Pack Flute and Piccolo case, but I did a review on that one, sort of explaining why it didn't quite work out for me. I've changed to this case since then, and it's been really great. Now I know it looks a little bit scary with me opening the case like this, but because the joints are actually locked into place in the case, nothing will fall out. Even if I tip it over, nothing's gonna fall out. I really like this, and it's super compact. I can fit this case into a backpack. I think I will do a review on this case sometime soon, so I will talk a little bit more about this case in that video. Now I use these facial sort of absorbent sheets to clean out the condensation and water underneath my keys. Now, because the cleaning cloths don't always get all the water, when I'm cleaning my flute after every practice, I like to go through and check under each key just to make sure that the keys aren't still wet. Third thing that I have is this cleaning rod, and this one is one by Pearl Flute. It's a wooden cleaning rod, so it's great because it won't scratch the inside of your flute. And I really like this one in particular because it's a little bit thicker than your average cleaning rod, which means that it helps my cleaning gauze actually wipe away all of the condensation on sort of the inside wall of my flute parts. The next thing that I have in my flute case is this cleaning gauze. This one is the Yamaha small cleaning gauze, I believe, and I really like this one because of how thin it is. I've used some cleaning gauzes before that were so thick that it was just such a struggle even getting it to fit inside the flute on the cleaning run, so I really like this one. And they last for a surprisingly long time as well, so that's been really useful. The next thing I have is this Altus polishing cloth. Now this is just the default polishing cloth that came with the flute when I purchased it, and I use this every day to clean the outside of my flute. Personally, I just prefer the flute to be completely clean and fingerprintless after I play it, so I like to do that. It's also useful to clean the outside of your flute after every play because it prevents the buildup of dirt and oils on the actual joints of the flute. I've had so many students come to lessons with their foot joints just stuck on their middle joints, and they just cannot get it off no matter how hard they pull. And so what they end up having to do is they have to take it to a music workshop to get those parts taken apart. The next thing I have is my Bluetooth pedal, and I keep it in this little cloth pouch. I really like this pedal because this one, first of all, the buttons light up, which is really nice. So you can see it really easily in the dark, but also the buttons actually press down when you go to change pages. So you're getting that feedback and knowing that, yes, you've actually pressed it and the page will actually turn. I used to have a pedal that doesn't give you any feedback at all. And it's kind of just, you have to wait until the last second to know whether or not the page is being turned, and that was just causing way too much stress for me, so I decided to switch to this one, and I've been much happier. Now I keep the rest of my accessories in this sort of little pouch, just because with how compact the Wiseman case is, I can't really fit a lot of extra stuff in there other than my instruments. The next thing I have is this metronome tuner machine, and I'm still a little bit old school. I still like to use a machine tuner because I find that when you're playing up in really sort of the high registers of the flute and the piccolo, sometimes the tuner apps on your phone or the iPad can tend to give out, so it's handy to have an actual machine just as a backup. In terms of my metronome, I do just use the metronome app, so I don't really use the metronome setting on this. Next thing I have is just this, the packaging of the blotting paper. I still have a lot more sort of extra sheets in there, and these ones are really good because they're nice and cheap. I believe that Yamaha do make a special blotting paper for your keys, and I have yet to try that one, but it is a little bit more expensive, so I've just been sticking with these because they work fine for me. Next thing that I have is this thumb port, and I did do a video about it earlier on, so if you want to check that one out, I talk a little bit more about the thumb port and why I think it's a good idea for beginner flutists to use it. So that's just the one that I have. On an off day where I'm finding it really difficult to balance the flute, I will just chuck this on and it helps me sort of get on with my practice. Next thing I have are these earplugs. These earplugs are custom made and I had to get them made at an audiologist's. These ones I believe take off about 5 or 10 decibels off, so you can still hear pretty clearly, but they help protect your ears. These are particularly useful if you are in orchestra and you're playing a piece that's super loud, and in that situation you'd still want to be able to hear quite clearly, but just, you know, you'd want to protect your ears. So these are were a worthy investment, I think. For me, I think they were a little bit expensive. They were about $300, but they're definitely a lifetime investment, especially if you're playing professionally or you're playing in situations where you have to cop a lot of loud sound. I then have this one. This is a little piccolo head joint adapter. Oh, I just dropped it. This one, I need to use this in order to put my piccolo head joint on my piccolo body because they are different brands. So I have to carry this around with me. I have a pencil with an eraser on top. Now I find this really useful because sometimes you do have to go back and rub out markings. So I just really like this one because I don't mix it so that I don't have to carry a pencil and an eraser with me. Next thing I have is this piccolo felt swab. I love this because when you're playing piccolo, condensation builds up quite quickly because it's such a small instrument, and this is really great for you to have just next to you on your stand so you can swab really quickly if you don't want to take the flute apart. This is really useful. Next up is tape. Now I love to use washi tape on my head joint and sometimes on my flute when I'm finding it difficult to balance. These are especially useful if you're playing in hotter climates when you're sweating a lot. The flute can get slippery quite quickly, and there's absolutely nothing worse than being in a recital and playing in a recital and feeling your flute slipping and you have no rest coming up for you to wipe. This washi tape is really good. I just keep one handy in my bag, a couple of those. These have been really good for my students, especially if they tend to slip. It sort of helps provide a little bit more grip between your lip and your lip plate. Sometimes if I have to play in a really hot climate where I'm absolutely sweating and there's no aircon or something, I will have to use micropore tape, which is a little bit more heavy duty than washi tape. Once washi tape soaks through, it does slide off very easily, but micropore tape does not budge. Unfortunately, it means that it does leave a little bit of a sticky residue on your lip plate. However, it's worth it for the security and for the comfort of knowing that you will absolutely not slip off of your flute in the middle of a recital. Lastly, oh yes, I have a little bit of cork grease. This one that I'm using currently is La Tromba, I think. La Tromba. And I need to use this for when I'm putting my piccolo head joint onto my piccolo, because that top part of the body joint of the piccolo is cork. So I do need to grease it up if I haven't played it in a while. Now, last but not least is my iPad, and this has been such an invaluable tool for me to use because it contains all of my scores. It's been great for traveling, it's been great for going to gigs, rehearsals. I just have all my music on here and I can access any score I want. So I also carry my iPad around with me, and I believe this one is this is a very old iPad. It's a second generation iPad. It's only got one camera, but it's been doing great. I think I purchased it at the end of 2018 and it's still going fine now, so has been really great. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was useful for you in some way. Happy fluting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.